Welcome to Music She Missed, the podcast where I try to get my best friend caught up in some of the most popular songs and artists that impact our lives. I'm Allison.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I missed all the music.
That sounded like a question, but I'm Allison. And you did miss all the music. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Allison.
How's it going this week?
Going good.
Are you excited as we're kind of wrapping up the season, coming close to the end here?
Yeah, I'm actually surprised of how fast we are going through this season.
It's just a week at a time.
I know, but still.
So, as usual, I have a tangentially related question for you.
Go for it.
I would like to know which spices and herbs in your spice rack you use most frequently in your cooking.
Really? We're going to do this group?
What?
I think I know which group we're doing.
Well, why don't you answer the question, then we can see if you are correct.
Yeah. Okay. So, oddly, I don't like lots of spice.
Yeah, no, I know.
I don't like spicy things.
You don't have
I
curry
think,
and chili powder in your...
yeah, I think Doritos are spicy. But the most used spice that I use in my spice cabinet is actually curry. I don't use it very often, but my favorite go-to recipe is like when I'm sick, when I've, or kind of just, is this one recipe that uses curry, and it's just my comfort meal.
But you think Doritos are spicy?
Yeah, but the recipe doesn't call for a lot of curry.
Okay.
But that recipe I actually don't measure, and I just sprinkle. But yeah, I like that. I just don't like a lot of it. So, who's the group are we listening to?
I want you to guess, because when I asked you about herbs, you seemed to already have an idea.
Are we doing the Spice Girls?
No.
Well,
Okay.
I was thinking, I was like, really? I have no idea then now.
Okay, good. So my favorite herbs are parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme.
I like those.
Does that give you a clue of who the artist is this week?
No, but I like those herbs and spices.
Okay.
So, can we do the drum roll?
We can.
Okay, here we go.
All right. Drum roll. It's Simon and Garfunkel.
Huh. I don't think I know anything by them. Is this the group that does all the funny lyrics?
No. I think you're thinking of Flight of the Conchords.
I don't know who that is. No, it's this one guy. He has a weird nose, and he sings that white nerdy song.
Weird Al?
Oh, so is he part of this group?
No.
Okay.
But I'm really amused, picturing Simon and Garfunkel, except Garfunkel is Weird Al.
Why would
I
associate that guy with them?
I don't know.
Okay, so they're nothing associated together.
I don't even know if Weird Al did a parody of one of their songs. So, no, I don't think so.
Okay, so I have no idea who's Simon. I don't know them.
Okay, cool. Well, this is
Okay.
great. Well, let me throw some songs at you, and you might.
Okay.
It's obvious that Scarborough Fair was not one of them, but let me throw some other songs. Bridge Over Troubled Water.
Oh, I do know that song. That's them?
Yeah. The Sound of Silence.
Oh, I don't know that.
Don't know that one.
Pass.
Homeward Bound.
Isn't that a movie with two dogs and a cat?
It sure is, but it's also a song by Simon and Garfunkel.
Is there a song in that movie?
Nope.
Okay, then pass.
Cecilia.
Pass.
Okay.
I have a friend named Cecilia.
Most famous song by Simon and Garfunkel probably is Mrs. Robinson.
Da, 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 da.
Yes.
Is that them?
Yes.
Huh.
So you do know a song.
So I know two of those songs so far.
So Simon and Garfunkel have a lot of hits, but Paul Simon, who is half of Simon and Garfunkel, obviously, went on to have a solo career as well.
Okay.
And so you're going to be listening to some of his songs.
Okay.
We'll see if you know. Have you ever heard the song "Me and Julio Down by the Schoolyard"?
Pass.
Okay. Still crazy after all these years?
Pass.
All right. You Can Call Me Al. I'll hum a little of it for you. Ba-da-ba-ba, ba-da-ba-ba. Does that sound familiar?
Pass.
Okay.
Maybe that's where I got that owl guy.
If you've never heard the song, You Can Call Me Al.
I don't
Then
know.
probably not. I didn't think about that. That is an interesting association. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate your current knowledge of Simon and Garfunkel?
I don't know if they're still alive. I don't know if they're still together. I don't know what year they're together when they got popular, but I can recognize 2 of their songs, so I would say maybe a 2.5.
Sure, we can go with that. We can go with 2.5. So, Rachel, you have some homework this week.
I do.
I put together a slightly less than an hour playlist.
Okay, thanks.
Their songs are short, so
Okay.
there's a lot of songs on the playlist. They're all just like 3 minutes long.
Yeah,
so.
and I know last week was hard and to break it down and give me only an hour, so maybe
True.
this is the response to that.
It's totally unrelated to last week.
Okay.
But I've got a little hour of music here for you of Simon and Garfunkel plus some Paul Simon for you to listen to, enjoy, evaluate. We'll come back together in a week and we'll hear all your thoughts.
All right, sounds good. I'm looking forward to it. Here we go.
Me too. Audience, we'll be back with you in just a moment. Welcome back. Rachel, you spent the last week listening to Simon and Garfunkel and more Paul Simon. How'd it go?
I am not sure how this is going to go.
Well, you just had a whole week.
I did, but I felt like, well, I don't know. Maybe this second half is going to be more of you convincing me not to give the score that I initially really want to gut give.
Now, that is not my purpose. My purpose is to just educate you, and you make whatever decision you want. My feelings are not hurt, with the exception of, whether or not you like the Beatles. My feelings are not hurt.
Are you upset about my 7.5 to them?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a positive rating.
Yeah, it's a positive rating.
I'm just saying, I
It's
don't
not
care.
I'm in love with you rating.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
More Beatles for me. I'm just saying, I don't care if you don't like something.
Okay.
And I'm not going to try to convince you to like them, though I might try to convince you why they're important or why you should care.
Why are these guys important then? Because I feel like, I don't know, if you weren't introducing me to them, I don't see why other people think they're important.
Well,
that's really mean.
They probably don't care either. Paul Simon, if you're listening.
I'm sorry.
No. Well, why don't we just start from the beginning? It sounds like you didn't have a good week. So why don't we just jump into some of your questions?
Okay. So my first question is, I'm a little confused here.
Okay.
Why does Simon go by his first name, but the second guy in the group goes by his last name? Or is the second guy's first name Garfunkel? Is he like German or something? Why are you laughing at me?
I think it's funny that that you think Garfunkel is his first name.
I don't know. It could be.
So let's start at the very, very beginning. The 2 guys in the band are Art Garfunkel and Paul Simon. So it is both of their last names, Simon and Garfunkel.
Okay.
And it's not German, but they're both Jewish. Okay. So it's maybe it's German.
It might. I think it's German. Well, it's more Bavarian. Yeah. At least I know the name.
Garfunkel.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I know the name.
Sounds familiar to you?
Well, also Strudel Garfunkel.
Yeah, those are
got
very similar
things. Anyways.
What other questions do you have? This is what happens when we record late at night.
So, the other question that I have is, where are they geographically from? Because they sound like a certain accent.
Okay, where do you think? What's the accent?
They sound like my husband.
Okay.
Who's from New York.
Well, they are also from New York.
Ah.
Specifically Queens, in a Jewish neighborhood.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good guess.
Good guess. Well.
So, let's jump in a little bit to the history. We're not going to spend too much time on it. Mm-hmm. Do you know what decade we're in here?
Definitely like the 60s, 70s.
You got it.
Folk art. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like they have a beard. Do they
Some
have,
of the time.
Do they have facial hair? I feel like he's singing to me with facial hair on.
Sometimes. So we'll just call them Simon and Garfunkel for clarity's sake instead of using like their whole name or the first name. So each of them,
Art and Paul.
instead of saying Art and Paul, yeah, it sounds a little weird to me. So
Well, Simon and Garfunkel is no different to me because I've never listened to them until now.
I know.
So I know nothing else but Art and Paul.
All right, so Art and Paul grew up in the 40s and 50s in New York. They were neighbors, and they went to school together, like, as early as elementary school.
That's fun.
And they became friends that early. And one of the articles that I found said that Simon noticed Garfunkel singing, and he thought, that's a good way to get girls to like you. So they started singing together, and in middle school they figured out, oh, we harmonize really well.
I
right?
could see that in some of their songs.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so they started kind of performing as like a duo under a lot of different names. They weren't always Simon and Garfunkel, right? They had several names, one of which was Tom and Jerry, which you think there would be like some kind of like copyright issue with that, but
Weren't they?
they got away with it.
Okay, because Tom and Jerry are actually from the Northwest.
What?
The ice cream guys.
That's Ben and Jerry.
Oh, whatever.
Tom and Jerry is a cat and a mouse.
Oh, that's the cat and the mouse. That's right. Okay.
On cartoons she missed. Next week.
Cartoons she missed.
Anyway.
Tom and Jerry, Ben and Jerry, ice cream and strudel. Okay.
The name had nothing to do with the cartoon, by the way. They picked it for totally other reasons. It's just funny now looking back at it.
Oh.
And they, they were influenced by a lot of like 1950s music, kind of doo-woppy kind of sounds, Everly Brothers.
I don't hear that.
Well, the harmonies, especially if you don't know who the Everly Brothers are.
No, I
but
don't
people
know
who know who they are will say, yes, I can see that, because it was very like tight vocal harmonies. So that's what they grew up listening to, and their first songs were heavily influenced by that. But as time went on, they developed their own songwriting, and times changed. They move into, which you correctly identified as like the folk genre.
I do not like that genre.
Well, you don't like this artist.
No, I don't think I like folk.
Okay.
Well, have we ever listened to anyone that's folk?
This is the first one.
Okay, so I have determined that this is my first and maybe my last.
Well, I get to decide what you listen to. So you can say that if you want, but we aren't done with this show. Anyway, they had a couple of early singles and stuff that didn't really make a big splash. So this first song that came out was called "Hey Schoolgirl," and they actually.
Is this them trying to get the girls in the schoolyard?
Oh, I don't know. This song's not important. It's just that they bribed the guy to get the single played on his radio show. And then there was this system called payola where you could like basically pay DJs to like play your song.
So this is when they were in middle school?
No, I mean, they're, well, like high school. They're like teens.
Okay.
Yeah. So very, very early on. But they started, they paid a lot of money to like get their song played.
Huh.
So their first album, which is not featured on your playlist, didn't really do much.
Okay.
But the song "Sound of Silence" was on that album. But when they originally recorded that song, the little guitar part that the song is famous for, that's like ding 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 ding. You know what I'm talking about? That wasn't there.
What do you mean it wasn't there?
It was just like a simple acoustic guitar and their vocals, and that's it.
Okay.
And that's not on your playlist, but you can listen to that version. And then their producer did a new arrangement of that song with the drums and the guitar, making it heavier.
Okay.
And didn't tell them. And released that. and it became a hit.
Oh,
And that's
wow.
how their album, The Sound of Silence,
Became a big deal.
yes, because of this version that they didn't even want it done that way. Isn't that
Huh.
interesting?
So they didn't even know that that part was going to be released.
Correct.
Huh. That's funny.
So, so there's a couple songs from that album. They have 5 albums throughout the 60s.
Wow.
Yeah, the most highly acclaimed is the final one, which is the Bridge Over Troubled Water.
Okay.
So, but all of them, you know, kind of have different sounds, and they quickly became kind of like a band that both the young kids of this generation, like the baby boomers, basically, and adults of the same time could both enjoy.
Huh. So they're multi-generational, impacting.
Yes.
Huh.
And they did not like invent folk by any means.
Huh.
But they are a definite
Big one.
good example of 60s folk, both like lyrically and musically.
Huh.
But then they broke up.
Really?
Yeah. And that's a weird story.
Okay. Why don't you elaborate?
So, Simon and Garfunkel, they're a duo, right? You don't
Yeah.
have one without the other. But occasionally, they would do things on their own, but it would create like tension between them. So in the late 60s, early 70s, they were asked to be in a movie, like a production of Catch 22. And the director of that movie cut Paul Simon's role,
But kept
Garfunkel.
Ugh,
And
ouch.
that apparently created or exacerbated the tension between them. And I just read like a bunch of articles saying that
That was the
the
breaking
beginning
part.
of their split up was like this.
Competition between each other.
Yeah. And what's funny is that in the end, Paul Simon ends up being the more acclaimed musician and the more famous of the two, though Art Garfunkel like kept being in movies. And what's really neat is
Would I
that
have seen him in any of the movies?
probably not.
Okay.
Mostly movies from the 70s that don't really seem like Have you seen Catch 22?
I feel like I have, actually.
Really?
But I read more of the book.
Right. So, well, you could always watch it and be like, hey,
Yeah.
I know who that guy is now. So they've kind of, over the past 40, 50 years,
Okay.
have kind of had like a times of apart, and then they have like a reunion and they do a concert, and then they're like apart, and then they do like another thing. So they're always kind of connected. They're
Are
constantly.
they back together now?
It's not like
Wait. Are they alive?
Yeah, they're both alive,
Well, that's nice.
and they.
Because I know you've kind of broken the bad news to me on some of the
Yeah,
people.
there's no bad news.
Yay! Well, other than they've broken up, that's sad.
Yeah, but it's like they don't. It's like they don't like each other, but they do. It just seems very like on and off kind of a thing. The last time that they had a little reunion, they did a tour in 2010.
Okay.
They've talked in the past few years about. They've done a couple reunions, but they haven't like created new music together. They've done solo things, their own things, and then they come back together and they're like, hey, we're going to play the old Simon Garfunkel songs for a big tour. And then not really do anything new. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
That's a really brief overview of the history of
That's okay.
Simon and Garfunkel. And we didn't really, I don't know if you want to talk about Paul Simon solo, or if you'd rather just talk about him like with the songs of his that you liked or disliked.
We can get that into the more of some of my likes and dislikes.
Before we do you have any other questions about the band?
Oh, I do, and I actually have some comments as well. Like,
Great.
so curiosity on some of the songs that I was listening to.
Okay.
They use a lot of names.
Can you give me some examples?
Okay, Mrs. Robertson, Cecilia, Julio, Al.
Yes.
Who are all these people?
So we have talked about this before, where sometimes a name is just a name because it sounds good in the song. right?
Yeah.
Well, you've asked this question in other artists, but I do have a couple of answers for you.
Well, I feel like some of these names are, they're not just, oh, they fit well in the song. They're actually like people.
Right. So Mrs. Robinson's a great example
Okay.
of this. Have you seen the movie The Graduate with Dustin Hoffman?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a great movie.
Tis is directed by the same guy who directed Catch-22, Mike Nichols. And he wanted to use Simon and Garfunkel's music for the soundtrack of that movie. If you've seen the movie, then you're aware that there's a character named Mrs. Robinson.
Yes.
But here's what's interesting. Paul and Art had been working on the song, Here's to You, Mrs. Robinson, right? But they hadn't fully decided on a name. They kept changing out 3-syllable names that just kind of fit.
Yeah.
And then the director was talking about how he needed another song for the movie, and then the guys were like, well, how about Mrs. Robinson, that song we've been working on? He was like, what? You had a song called Mrs. Robinson and you didn't tell me when the character's name? And so it was kind of like they explained like, well, the title was just kind of constantly changing, but that was what they decided on, and it worked in the movie.
Huh. So when the movie came out, also the song came out.
Right. And then the soundtrack to the movie was released, and then shortly thereafter, the album featuring that song and other songs was released.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
And another one you mentioned was Cecilia.
Yes.
That is my all-time favorite song by them. Maybe one of my all-time favorite songs ever. And it's kind of an interesting reference because the song... Did you catch what the song's about?
Yeah. I caught it.
Okay.
It's a cute song. I really like it. It was a fun one.
It is. But, it's about a woman who it's like, hey, I thought she was my girl. Now she's been with somebody else. And yay, she's back, right? And, but the name Cecilia comes from the patron saint of music, right, in the Catholic Church. And so Paul Simon suggested that the song might refer to the frustration of songwriting, like kind of like a muse, right? Or the saint of songwriting, in that it's like it's there, it's gone, like kind of referencing the woman to the art of creating a pop song.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Very creative. And I can see why they would have created a fun song for such a muse.
Mm-hmm. A little bit absurd, but...
Yeah. So another question that I have for you
Okay.
is that the song A Haze Shade of Winter.
A Hazy Shade of Winter.
Yeah.
I like that one a lot.
Hazy Shade of Winter.
Yes.
It kind of ends weird. It
very
feels
abrupt.
like abrupt. And I'm
Yeah.
like, was that done on purpose?
Most
Why?
definitely.
Why?
Why not? Some songs fade out. Some songs end with, a chorus being repeated. Some songs end abruptly. I think... I can't speak directly to why they ended it that way. I tried to find out.
Huh.
Maybe some super Simon Garfunkel fan out there knows the answer. But I feel that it just is interesting. Why
Yeah.
not? Why not when you have an album and maybe the songs are kind of lilting and folky and you're just kind of like enjoying it, to have a song abruptly end? Why not just kind of shake people awake and be like, hey, are you listening? I don't know if that's their intention, but to me, it kind of feels that way.
Yeah. I don't know if I liked it, though.
Well, that's all right. You don't have to.
Huh. Okay, well. It is what it is.
All right.
So, another thing that I kind of noticed, that a bunch of their songs sound the same. Like, it's different lyrics, but the same song almost, where I kind of didn't like that part. And I don't know if that's just folk songs or it was just them. What do you think?
I don't think that they all sound the same, though. I think they have a style.
Yeah, that same style where
What is your
I feel
question?
like, okay, so was it season 1 or season 2 we did Beyonce?
That was season 1.
Season 1. Okay. So we hear Beyonce and I feel like out of that whole hour of listening to her music, where she is just doesn't sound like the same person from the first song to the third song to the seventh song. And where I feel like with Simon and Garfunkel, I'm like, it's them.
Well,
again.
I don't think that Cecilia sounds like Homeward Bound sounds like The Sound of Silence. But I also, so one of my thoughts on this is that the less familiar you are with a genre, the more likely everything sounds the same.
That might be my situation.
I mean, especially, earlier in the season when we were talking about country, and you had this image in your head
Yeah.
of country, and this is kind of what it is.
Yeah.
It's like a stereotype that you create in your mind. It all starts to sound the same. The more you know, the more you can differentiate, and it ceases to do that.
I guess so, yeah. I see what you're saying. I feel you.
So I feel that it might just be like an exposure issue.
Yeah.
But, I mean, all of these songs were created within a few years of each other. Many of them are on the same album, and there is a certain style that is distinctly them.
Yeah, it is very distinctly them, because they do not sound like Beyonce.
Sounds like... Yeah, they do not. That is so true. But then there is a little break, because in 1970s when they break up.
Yes,
And then
which
we have several
you,
Paul Simon songs in here.
You're shocking me that they broke up, because they sound like they were made for each other when it comes to the harmony.
I know, right? Especially such a childhood friendship.
Yeah, that's sad.
It is sad.
But at least they keep coming back together.
Yeah, and they're both alive, so there's still time.
Yes.
So, let's talk a little bit about the Paul Simon. Let's talk a little bit about the Paul Simon tracks, because hopefully you heard that those were different than the Simon and Garfunkel tracks at the beginning of your playlist.
Yeah. So You Can Call Me Al.
Yeah.
I thought that was a fun song, and I liked the different instruments, like the flute, the horn, the hand drums.
Yeah.
I thought that was super cool.
Okay.
And I actually put that song on my like list.
Okay, great.
But I also noticed that Paul Simon also sang the one song Graceland, and I did not like that song. I didn't like the beat. It just made me want to push the skip button.
So that's really interesting that you really liked one and you didn't like the other.
Yeah.
These are from the same album, which is called Graceland. And there's a third track on there, Diamonds on the Soles of Her Shoes. This is a extremely highly acclaimed album.
Really?
Yes. And it has a really interesting history. And I'm glad you brought up the instruments. You heard the drum. You heard the
Was that all him?
No. In fact, many of the voices and instrumentalists on this album are South African musicians.
Oh, I like that.
So this album was, well, not everybody did, because the album was made in the 80s while there was like a boycott on everything South African, because it was in the middle of apartheid.
Yeah.
And
I could see
he
that in
basically
that
like
time
made a
period.
South African album when nobody was supposed to be doing anything with South Africa because South Africa was a giant mess.
Yes.
Right? But he had this and some people also didn't like it, I should mention, because they saw it as cultural appropriation. So anyway, so this album draws from it draws from a lot of different musical traditions.
It does.
Which is why it doesn't sound like folk, right? Like, you may not like it, but it's not the same as what was happening in the 60s, right?
No, I would say, yes, I would agree that it doesn't sound like folk, but it does sound like folk. It's kind of weird.
Well, it's weird because it's 20, so it's the same songwriter.
Yeah.
Right? But it's drawing from a lot more styles. So Graceland features like a bunch of different musical styles. It includes pop, it includes rock, it has a cappella, it has Zydeco. Do you know what Zydeco is?
No.
It's like kind of Louisiana Cajun stuff.
Yeah.
And then it has a lot of like African different styles. And it's a super commercial hit, right? Like super high charting. Got the Grammy Award for Album of the Year, 1987. It's considered like culturally important, like Graceland as an album. And unfortunately, you only have 3 songs, so you're not getting the full picture of all of the different pieces that he includes on this album. I picked some of the more popular songs.
Okay.
But each song he goes back and forth between like happy songs, serious songs. Like, I just included some of the more famous ones. But the album as a whole is pretty important.
It's interesting how I liked one, but I didn't like another.
Well, on an album where all the songs don't sound the same, that's probably more likely to happen.
I guess so.
So,
Gotcha.
Anyway, and you can even hear some of the other influences in The Obvious Child. You've got some Latin influence. In Me and Julio, Down by the Schoolyard, same thing, kind of more urban, Latin-y. So Paul Simon definitely went a different direction.
He did.
And has been more successful than Garfunkel post the duo.
Gotcha.
So what were some of your faves and least faves?
Okay.
Perhaps, besides the ones we already kind of talked about.
Yeah. I liked Mrs. Robertson.
It's Robinson.
Robinson.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yep.
I like that song.
Okay.
The song makes me want to kind of pick up my guitar and join in. I thought it was just a very fun song, and it was something that I thought I could accomplish on the guitar with my lack of guitar skills.
Perhaps.
Maybe.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Maybe.
I also liked Bridge Over Troubled Water.
Okay. Tell me about that.
I like this song, but I also don't like this song.
Okay. Please elaborate.
Because I won't lie to you, when I heard the song, I was like, oh, I've heard this song.
Okay.
Oh, wait a second. I have not heard this song.
Aha.
So I've heard this song covered by other people.
You've heard this song. Well, I doubt you've heard all of these people, but 50 artists have covered this song.
Okay, I've not heard 50 artists.
Right. But this song is super famous and covered by all different kinds of people in all different kinds of genres.
Like, I've heard it, like, in movies and stuff.
Definitely.
And so I like the people that cover it, but I don't like the original song of Simon and Garfunkel.
And that is acceptable, though I do have a comment about that as
Okay.
well. So, there have been times where I've heard the cover of a song before I heard the original song.
Uh-huh.
And it's easy to prefer the cover because that's the first time you heard it. It's kind of like your favorite Bond is the first Bond that you see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it might take time before you realize, Sean Connery really is the best Bond, even if I saw Roger Moore first. Or whatever.
That's funny.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
So, like, I think it's the same thing here, where you're already familiar with something and you like something. So when you hear something different, it's kind of jarring. Yeah. But however, they wrote the song, and obviously, at least 50 other giant artists thought it was good enough to cover. So, I think it's cool that you recognized that you liked it and that you didn't like it, and that you're seeing like that there's a disparity between what you've already heard and what you're hearing now. So
exactly.
I mean, you are welcome to like another version better. There are covers of Beatles songs that I like better than the original. It's
really?
Yes, of course. It's totally allowed. I just want you to think about why.
Yeah.
And not just like
dismiss it.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's like music. You don't want me to just dismiss it.
Yeah. Well, it's like most things.
Exactly. Okay, so I also like the 59th Street Bridge song.
It's just,
that had groovy. Some really cute lyrics.
That's a
and it was a fun to kind of sing along. Mm-hmm. But there's a part that I didn't like about it.
Okay.
I mean, did not like about it. Bold, underlined, italic. I did not like the whistling.
What is it?
The whistling.
Oh.
The whistling. The whistling. Oh my gosh, the whistling!
All right, so you need to explain to our audience your weird thing about whistling.
I do not like whistling. I do not like whistling. I can't handle it. But the weird thing is, like... You've
given your husband a strict no whistling in the house policy.
Oh my goodness, yes. But then also, my dad, my two brothers, have joined whistling contests.
Yeah.
And they have won.
Yeah.
And so I'm not, like, completely...
You don't dismiss it as an art form, but it hurts your ears.
It hurts my ears. It does. And I've gone to actually ear doctors to see how it hurts my ears. And it does.
Oh, they didn't just say, you're crazy.
No, they said actually, no, it actually hurts a certain part of your ear and gives me headaches.
Well, unfortunately, I did not think about that component when I was putting together a playlist full of acoustic guitar and whistling, because it's not the only song that has whistling.
No, it's not. But I really liked the lyrics. I thought they were cute. And so that's why I still put it on my like list.
It's too bad that you don't like whistling, because I think whistling,
know.
it's a happy sound.
But also, this is the weird thing. So I don't like other people whistling, but
Yeah, I
I
know.
don't, but if I'm whistling,
Yeah.
it doesn't hurt my ears. Isn't that weird?
I
But
think
then
you're
when
crazy.
I'm whistling, it spurs other people to whistle, and then it hurts my ears. It's weird. Like, I'm telling everyone in the entire world, you're not allowed to teach my daughter how to whistle. You can teach her how to snap. Just don't teach her how to whistle.
I was going to whistle on air right now, but I won't.
You better not.
I'll whistle at the end.
Okay. I do like Cecilia. I thought that was a
Fave.
very fun song and very cute lyrics and fun lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one I really liked was Still Crazy After All These Years.
Yeah, it's a fun Paul Simon.
Yeah, I like the smoother sound, and it sounded a little bit jazzy.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that's true?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So I have a couple dislikes, but before I get to the dislikes, this is the first time, yes, it took all the way to season 2. Wait,
3.
no, we're on season 3, to get to not only a like, not only a dislike, but a neutral category. It's a neutral category.
If you're like, yes, I heard that song.
It's the song I Am a Rock,
Yeah. Okay.
and I'm cool with the chorus part.
The I'm a rock, I'm an island part?
Yeah, in the lyrics, but I don't like the refrains of it.
A refrain and a chorus are the same thing. Do you mean the verses?
Yeah, the verses. I just don't like the verses, sorry. So to kind of go into the dislikes though.
Okay.
So Scarsborough Fair.
Mm-hmm.
I did not like that harmony, which is so weird because I thought they were like the kings of harmony. But I didn't like the harmony that they did in
Well,
that.
it's a little bit minor. It's a little bit dark sounding. Is that why you don't like it?
Yeah, I just didn't like it. But at least I know where you got the herb question
Yeah.
that you asked at the beginning,
question is
at the first
answered.
half. Yes, I was like, oh, so this is where Allison got that question.
It's also the name of the album. Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
All right. So you didn't like that. What else didn't you like?
The dangling conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the song, this is one of the ones that I felt was, it just sounded like all the rest of the other ones. I was just like, huh, Simon and Garfunkel, you have nothing new. So I didn't like that one.
Okay.
And then, me and Julio Down by the Schoolyard.
That's probably, okay, so I really like Cecilia. But Me and Julio Down by the Schoolyard is one of my favorite songs.
Like
I listen to it all the time.
this week gave me a headache because of the whistling.
So I feel that your bizarre whistling thing negatively biases you toward a band that you might otherwise like.
Well, that's what I was thinking of doing, of like seeing if I could listen to them and then like block out all the whistling parts and then just listen to the non-whistling.
How would you block out the whistling?
I don't know, but I would. I'd figure it
If
out.
there are any musically tech-savvy people that would like
Edit
to edit
stuff.
out the whistling in all of Simon and Garfunkel
Just so-
and send it to Rachel,
Just to see if I could actually start
just
liking
change
them.
it to a hum. You can just overdub it with a hum. That would be very helpful.
Yeah, the whistling this week.
All right.
It was just like a very dull headache too. And I just couldn't get it to go away.
All right. Well, fun fact that everybody's now learned. You don't like whistling, and Simon and Garfunkel has more whistling than you would expect.
Yes.
So, I guess we've got nothing left to do but rate this band.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, let's see. 1 is, you prefer the sound of silence. And, and 10, I don't have a good pun for 10. 10 is great. And 5 is just kind of like, meh, take or leave. Where are you going to rate them?
And see, that's the hard part. Like, I want to be
know.
able to give you like a quick rating.
Which I want. Do it now.
Do it now. I can't.
Do it.
No! But the thing is, I like Mrs. Robinson.
Okay.
I thought that was such a cute song, and I like Bridge Over Troubled Waters.
Okay.
But I don't like them singing it, so I don't know what rating to give them. I think I'm going to give them a 2.5.
So you liked them as much as you like Madonna?
Oh, maybe less. Okay. So they're like 2?
but more than Nirvana,
Yes.
but less than Black Sabbath.
Yes.
See, I think it's because of the whistling.
The whistling.
I think you would have given them a true neutral if not for the whistling.
No, I don't know. I think I'm going to stick with my 2 being above Nirvana, because Nirvana just like, oh my gosh, I'd rather.
We know.
Yeah.
We know.
But the whistling, yes. The folk, yes. But some of the lyrics are just fun. Like Cecilia, Mrs. Robinson, it's just.
So it's not garbage, but it's like recycle bin.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there we go. Rachel doesn't like Simon and Garfunkel. Now you know.
Yeah.
Somebody says, hey, Rachel, what do you think about Simon and Garfunkel? You can be like, I know who they are and I don't like them.
Yeah, I know who they are, and those are not their first names.
All right. On that note, audience, if you want to follow along with Rachel's journey, please like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, rate and subscribe on iTunes, and don't forget to follow this playlist and all our playlists by searching for Spotify, /user, music she missed, and follow us there.
Yeah.
Rachel, I'm sorry you had a less than stellar week, but we've got one more episode in this season.
Yay.
And I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. I'm actually having a lot of fun, in spite of just how this was a rating of 2 this week. But still, I had a lot of fun.
You had fun hating it.
Yeah.
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 Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks so much, and have a great week.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, I want strudel now.